how are you when it comes to finishing the season with the loss? How long will this marinate with you? Or are you able to discard it kind of quickly knowing it's the game and think about other stuff?
Last night was a tough night. I went home, was by myself, just watched a couple movies because I was going to watch Goodfellas and started that. I mean, this is too depressing, so I watched a couple 80s movies. Summer School is one of them, some light stuff. But yeah, I thought about it, and it still hasn't really sunk in, to be quite honest. It's been a good run, and obviously everybody's disappointed. But, we have to move forward now. We're talking to the players today and, getting their thoughts about the season, what our thoughts for them moving forward, for the prospects, what they have to do moving forward and getting ready for training camp. Obviously, everybody's not going to be back here next year. So it's bittersweet, it's tough when you win a couple championships and maybe some guys are moving on. It's tough.
How honest do those conversations get, both from your side and from players' side? Are you able to kind of have a really honest discussion, or is it too soon?
Well, they were very honest today, on both sides. There's some really tough ones, emotional ones, and also there's some gratitude from both sides. But anytime you don't win a championship, there's always players that are disappointed, players that are grateful. So, you just have to try to get through it and try to find some common ground.
When you think about what Hershey has meant in your career right now, I know you like a little time to process, but this summer, how will you look at the last 3 years and what you were able to accomplish here from the second you got here?
I think over the course of summer, I'll look back and view the 3 years as being a pretty successful 3 years. Like I said before, to win one championship is tough. To win back-to-back is incredible. Going after 3, it would have been fantastic, but it just didn't work out. But I look at the course of the season. It was a tough season, but we still finished first in our division. And but now, we have 3 or 4 months to think about it. Then we'll have to turn the page and move forward. It's going to be a different look with our team next year. We'll be a lot younger. But I think just processing everything, it's going to take a while. It's tough. I know what the expectations are for the organization and the city or the town of Hershey. From my standpoint, I felt that maybe me personally let people down, but you can't win every year.
How hard is it playing under those expectations?
A lot of pressure, but I relish that. I think everybody that comes to Hershey understands what it's all about, and they invite it. That's what makes this place so special. I'd rather have that than going into a season saying, okay, well, if we compete hard enough, maybe we make the playoffs. Who knows? It might be like that next year, but our expectations are to get in the playoffs and go on good runs and give these guys an experience that they can take, hopefully, to the National Hockey League.
You've developed a lot of players down here to the NHL level. When the Capitals sent down Hendricks up here, what did you work with him on to try and help him this year and going into the future?
Well, I spoke with him today, and not to go into too much detail, but he understands that obviously he's gifted offensively. He has great speed. He has good offensive instincts, just like any pro player that wants to make the jump. Just defensive awareness. That's one thing, and just competing for loose pucks. And it's more of a will. Everybody talks about strength. He still can get stronger. Every young kid can. He's still very young. But we talked about that. He understands that. And, in fairness to him, the last couple of years he's had short summers, and so now, Vincent Iorio falls in that category as well. They have a lot of time to train their bodies and get ready for training camp, and so we got to view this as a positive for these prospects of getting stronger and getting ready for camp and hopefully fighting for a job in Washington.
Coach, I asked you at the beginning of the playoff run about the possibility of it's a developmental league and people looking for other opportunities. You had mentioned you're open to have conversations for jobs out there. An update on that? Have you had any conversations? You expecting any NHL conversations for you, or do you expect to have you back here in Hershey?
There's been rumblings and that, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't answered my phone since last night. I have it on mute, so I see there's a lot of text messages there, but I don't want to be interrupted with the exit meetings that we're going through. I don't know what's going to happen. As of right now, I'm head coach for the Hershey Bears.
What is it about this league that you think you excel at? You've found so much success here. What is it about the A that fits for your coaching style?
Well, there's a lot of turnover in this league. So, our coaching philosophy as a group, and me personally, is just having the guys wanting to come to the rink every day, be part of a family atmosphere, working hard, coming here to work hard, make themselves better. But you have to do it in a fun environment. You have to do it in an environment that when they wake up in the morning, they're like, oh, God, I have to go to practice today. I want them to jump out of bed and say, I want to get to practice to see the boys, see the coaches, and make myself better. I think that's the most important thing, is trying to create that culture. Everybody throws culture around. There's good and bad cultures, but we try to create, that's the culture we try to create, and it's served us well so far. It's a tough league because you have guys that are breaking in, trying to take the next step. They're all eager, and then you have guys that are older guys that are on their way out, and sometimes it's tough for these older guys to accept that maybe their hockey playing days are over. So you have both spectrums you have to deal with. So at the end of it all, you want to make sure that they want to come to the rink and have some fun and win some hockey games and hopefully be successful and win a championship.
A lot of the players today mentioned that family atmosphere. If, said to the head coach of the Hershey Bears, if it's not this season, if it's in the future, how would you take that culture, that family atmosphere, and try to translate it up to the next level?
It's a bit different, but I try to institute that. It's different in the National Hockey League just because, in the minors, basically this is all they have is their family here. In the National Hockey League, it's a bit different. You try to get a team together with so-and-so has to go do an endorsement for Rolex, whatever it is. Somebody's trying to design a new cologne. So it's a bit different, but you know what? When I was in Dallas with Jim Montgomery and Rick Bowness, they created that, and it's just a bit different because everybody has families, they're older, they're going their different ways, but you still can institute it, and I firmly believe that the successful teams in the National Hockey League have that culture. It's just a matter of doing it maybe in a different way, but like we had a pig roast in Dallas. It was at Tyler Seguin's place. I didn't roast it, and that was the problem. That's why I wasn't that successful. So, but they had to cater it in. So, but anyways, we still got the team together and stuff, and and the job that Rick Bowness did in the bubble when we were up in Edmonton, just having cameo appearances from celebrities and their families certainly helped out the guys. So you still can accomplish the same goal. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It doesn't matter if it's a sports team or IBM or whatever. I think every leader can establish that culture.
Everybody talks about how skilled you are, how calm that you are, stressful situations, the highs, the lows. Where does that come from for you?
I think I developed it over the course of my coaching career. I was really emotional my first few years, vocal and that, and then I've always been a pretty laid-back guy, but when things don't go right or, like, I can get upset just like anybody else. But I think just being even keel, just from being a player and working with coaches, I think that I benefited as a player from a coach that was more even keeled. And that's where I kind of got it from. You talk about Barry Trotz or Johnny Anderson, who I worked with, that taught me a lot. And I think it goes a long ways. Like when somebody turns over the puck and a breakaway happens, I don't have to go down to the end of the bench and say, don't turn over the puck. Everybody knows watching the game what happened. The player knows that, But I want to try to instill confidence in the player, every individual, instill confidence. But when there's times to lean on them, you have to do that and hold them accountable. But I think the biggest thing is trying to get the most out of your players, and positivity. I know in this generation works well, but once again, you have to hold them accountable.
You, obviously, before you even showed up here, you had tons of experience, you had cups, everything. Well, what did you learn here going through these 3 years prior?
Well, you learn every year that you coach, right? And I think it just reinstilled in me that the closer you are as a group, the more success you'll have. I think just being straightforward with the player in individual meetings goes a long way. If you try to beat around the bush, they're smart enough, they'll sniff it out, and it's going to hurt you. I've always kind of been like that, but it's been really apparent here. Guys just want to hear straightforward. Why am I not playing? What do I have to do to get to the power play? How do I earn more minutes? If you tell them straight out, I think they respect that. And that just reinstilled what I always thought. But, just working here in Hershey, I knew it was always a special place, but I didn't realize the magnitude of the expectations here, which is good, and if they were given an opportunity at the next level, it's going to be the same thing. So, but I love it here. Like I said, nothing's come my way, and right now it's too fresh to process for me.
On the note of how the AHL, I'm wondering, what do you think the next adjustment or where the league is heading? Because everyone wanted to catch up to you. Everyone wanted to play that physical forechecking style, and Charlotte did that. They also played fast and got a lot of shots. They love applying that pressure. I wonder where you think, first of all, where you guys are heading and where the league is going to head to try to catch up to Charlotte or try to win with that next adjustment.
Well, the way that Charlotte plays, I think that's the new way. You're pushing out your forwards, playing very aggressive. I like that style. Florida plays that style, so does Carolina. It's hard to play against. Charlotte obviously did it. We like to play a style, but you got to play within your team. If you don't have the personnel, if you have a bunch of Clydesdales out there, you can't play fast. If you have thoroughbreds, you can play fast. So you got to see what the strength of your team is and work around that. It'd be great to say that we had the fastest team in the league and we can play that style, but sometimes you don't. And so you got to play to your strengths. Every team's different. If you look at our first team, the first year, we were a hard forechecking team and we're systematically sound. Last year's team, our guys didn't like the forecheck. They didn't. They would rather carry the puck in, so we're more of a rush team. And this year's team is kind of a hybrid of the two teams with our systems. So every team's different, so you got to take your personnel and see what fits for you. You can't be a one-trick pony. You have to learn to adapt. And so I don't know, next year we're going to be a lot younger. So there's going to be some growing pains. There is with every hockey team. We'll have to see what hand we're dealt, and then we can formulate how we play. If you look at our team this year, we were having trouble with our D zone, and we had to make an adjustment in January. And the adjustment worked for us. Since that time we kind of went playing under D zone a lot less, because we were spending 6 or 7 minutes in our own zone early in the year. Now we cut it down to 4 minutes to 5 minutes, just with an adjustment that we made. And so you got to take your personnel and see what you have, and you have to adjust to what fits for your hockey team. And that's with playing within the confines of Washington's system.
You won an AHL record 9 playoff series here. I know it's fresh, I know it's hard to look back, but is there a moment at any point where you were just particularly proud of what your team overcame to do what it did?
This year?
Or no,
It just-
going back the last 3 years.
Oh, man.
I know it's a big question.
Proud, just, we look at 2 years ago, the Coachella series. I remember sitting there after game 2, and I talked to Shark, and I said, we'll be all right, but deep down I was thinking to myself, I don't know if we have enough to get this done. And we did. Very proud. Last year, we're rolling through the playoffs, everything's fine, all of a sudden injuries hit, and all of a sudden we're up 3-0 in Cleveland, against Cleveland. And all of a sudden we find ourselves, I'm walking out to the bench in game 7, going into overtime, and going, holy cow, if we lose this one, what a failure this is going to be. Then Garrett Rowe scores the game winner. It was very proud. And then just to finish it off. This year, I'm just proud of the guys for sticking with it. It was a tough year. When I mean a tough year, like when you play, every game we played this year, we knew it was going to be a tough game. It didn't matter who you played, because we're back-to-back champions. It doesn't help when teams come in here and they're on the ice skating around, and all of a sudden they introduce us and they welcome back your back-to-back Calder Cup champions. Plus we have a logo right in the middle of the ice that says back-to-back champions, staring right at them in the face. Like they want to destroy us. So the guys persevered and went through it, and we got, by 2 points, we finished first in the Atlantic, and unfortunately we didn't finish it off the right way. But it was tough on our guys, so I'm proud of how they handled it. It was a lot of pressure. The guys are walking down the street with their wife, and all of a sudden somebody yells out, "3-peat," with the car driving by. So it was in our face the whole time, so it was tough. But once again, the guys understood, if you come to Hershey, that's the expectation. And we're all proud to work for the Hershey Bears and Washington Capitals, and we're proud of that expectation. That means that you're champs, and you're champs for life.